Hello, everybody. Welcome to the third episode of Sunday Chats. I hope you're all doing well. I would like to talk about a few things today. Them being, first of all, someone requested that I speak about my journey in cadets and sort of why I joined. I suppose just speak about cadets in general, but I would like to start with sort of why I joined and maybe a bit about how I find it. And if you want to ask more questions about that, feel free to do so in the comments. I also went to an open day for the University of York today, so I'd quite like to speak about that because it would be good for... I want future me to sort of see how I thought about this in the moment, because I think that would be interesting for me to look back on, to be honest with you. But also, if you want to hear my opinions on where I want to go, then that would be interesting for you, I suppose. Again, other than a few people saying things, I haven't gotten much suggestion for what to talk about. People didn't really reply with suggestions for what to talk about in the last episode that I did. The one prior, some people came to me in person, but I haven't really had much sort of feedback on what to talk about. So I'm just going to take it in any direction I please, unless people say specific things like the Army Cadets thing. And then I want to end it off by wishing everyone good luck, because if you're watching this at the time, you should be, as it's coming out, and not watching it later, then you should have your mocks tomorrow, actually. So I wish you the best of luck with those, but I'll talk about that more properly in a bit. Also, I'd like to keep this one a bit shorter because I'm aware that the previous one was very long. I noticed that this will make it sound like I'm already falling off. My views have sort of gone down over time and sort of been much lower with the most recent one, probably because it was 3/4 of an hour long, and I don't expect people to really sit through 3/4 of an hour. I aim to make them shorter in the future. That was just a very rambly one on my part, so I apologise. I think I'm a bit more in the mood to do it tonight. I think I'm probably feeling a little bit more fast paced, so hopefully we'll get through this one quicker. That being said, starting with my journey in cadets. Well, this might be a little bit personal, actually, to put on the internet, but to be honest with you, when I wanted to join the cadets, I was not an especially happy chappy. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I generally didn't hold myself in very high regard. And at the time, I really wanted to join the military. Specifically, and I know what you're going to say, haha George, you're gay, but I wanted to join the Navy. And so, I'm slightly worried about what my Army Cadet friends will say if they see this. But actually, fun fact, I originally wanted to be, and it feels so stupid to say looking back now, a Sea Cadet. And that's because I wanted to join the Navy. I didn't know much about the cadets. I sent something out to all three of them, and basically the Sea and the Air Cadets just completely aired me. I didn't mean to make a pun out, sorry. They just completely ignored me, and the Army Cadets didn't, and so I sort of just joined the Army Cadets because they replied first. But yeah, I wanted to join the Navy, and I wanted to get some experience. Again, that feels silly now looking back, but at the time I thought, well, hey, I'll try out cadets, and I thought if I hate cadets, then I obviously won't like the forces. Not necessarily I love cadets, therefore I'd love being in the military, but if I hate cadets, I'm obviously not going to like the military, because it's all of the stuff that the cadets do, plus there's a chance you get shot at and die, which sounds miserable. But at the time, that wasn't really a concern for me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life when I joined the cadets, when I wanted to join the forces. And I think out of generally being in a rough patch, I'd started to... And I want to clarify, this isn't like a good thing to do, and I'm better now, I pinky swear, but I had sort of started to idolise the idea of that being the way I go out, that being in conflict, because I thought, hey, well, at least if I join the forces, okay, sure, maybe I'll die, but at least I'll die in a way that's meaningful. At least I'll die my country. At least I'll die helping the British people. That's like a pretty cool way to go out. And you know, I still stand by it as like, I mean, obviously I don't know, so I'm not standing by it from like a point of I absolutely know this for certain. But I still think that, you know, of all the ways to go that there are, at least there does feel like some sort of nobility in, you know, at least saying that, you know, you've sacrificed yourself for your country, for your fellow man, that sort of thing. But I think I took that approach and ran with it to the point that it was, dare I say, the aim. It was sort of the goal, which, like, looking back, that was not a good state to be in. But that was that was genuinely, for who asks. So Seth, if you're listening, I hope you haven't found this too miserable. That is genuinely the main reason why I joined the cadets, is because I wanted to join the forces, the armed forces, specifically the Navy, because a part of me had essentially began to idolise the idea of giving my life up for something greater. And so, at the time, I just don't think I realised that you can give your life up for something without losing it, you know. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying look, a bit personal, this, but I've had like a loss in the family recently, about a year ago now, and that has made me really reconsider joining the military, because I really don't want to die because of the effect it would have on my family. I'm not that worried about dying, personally. If I die, I die. I have faith that I'll go to heaven. But I wouldn't want to put my family through that, and so I'm not as into the idea of joining the military as I was before. But I really was. I wasn't concerned about death. I thought it's a good way to go out. If I survive, I make a bunch of money. I could pay off my student loans easily. Yeah, sorry, that probably sounds miserable, but that is, honest to God, looking back, probably the main reason why I joined the cadets. And again, it was just the army took me first. And also, I want to clarify, it wasn't just like, oh, I want to die, I'm going to join the cadets. When I went and had my first session, Jack, Ozzy, I don't know if either of you are listening to this, you guys being there is absolutely the reason why I say the army cadets. Because you were like genuinely like really kind to me, right off the bat. So I don't know if I should have leaked your names there, but I won't say surnames now because I've said first names. But Jack and Ozzy, genuinely, I probably would have, if it wasn't for you guys, waited for the Sea Cadets to contact me or something like that. So honestly, praise the Lord, you two were there, because otherwise I would have been a far worse person. And yes, that is Sea Cadet slander. And yes, if you're a Sea Cadet, what are you going to do about it? But yeah, that's honestly my approach. And then I obviously grew into actually liking the activities. Found out that even though I'm shocking at it, I quite like drill. And just, yeah, that's the reason why I joined. The reason why I stayed is different. In the interest of time, I won't go into the reason why I stayed, or the reasons, there's many. But that's why I joined the cadets. Miserable reason, probably. And I might regret putting this out there, but I think it just goes to show that, you know, there's always you can always get some good out of the bad, you know? Anyway, moving swiftly on. I had an open day today at the University of York. Now, this is the second open day that I've actually sort of liked. My first ever open day was the University of Warwick, which is where, at the time of recording, at 10:15 on the 21st of June 2025, is where I intend to go, or I intended to go. We'll get onto that, but it's where I've wanted to go since I first went. It was the first one I went to, that sort of thing. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. I had to quickly pause for something. yeah, Warwick's the one that I've wanted to go to for a long while. I've been to some other places. I went to Bath, I think Bath Spa it was, and they were very STEMmy. They didn't have philosophy and politics, which is what I want to do. I went to the North East University of London because I got finalisted in an essay competition for them, and forgive me if this sounds snobbish, but I'm looking for Russell Group, so I didn't really want to go there. Um, and I went to Oxford a bit ago, but they don't have philosophy and politics. They only have PPE, which is philosophy, politics, and economics. And at Oxford specifically, and I think Cambridge as well, want me to do like a bunch of maths for that. So like I'm not doing that. I don't hate maths, but I'm not really fond of it. So that was sort of a no. But York is the first serious contender to Warwick, and I met a lecturer there who, actually let me pause this so I can look at his name. Yeah, okay, I've just found his name. David Worsley at the University of York. He's a lecturer there, and he focuses on philosophy of religion, and and we had like a genuinely really interesting talk at the philosophy stand for about half an hour or so, probably, about whether God like knows all of our subjective experience or not, and by that I mean like our sensations. If you want me to go into some sort of subjective experience, if you want me to go into what we talked about, drop me a comment. Let me know, because I'd happily go into that, because it's a topic that really interests me, and talking with him about it really interested me. He seemed like a genuinely really passionate person on the topic, and I mean that sold me a lot. The place is overall quite nice. Philosophy and politics seem to work quite nicely together there, although Warwick also has that. Both are campus universities, that's a big thing for me. I don't live very far from my school. I'm not going to give you the specifics because this is going on the internet, but I don't live very far from my school. And so, I do not want to go from my relatively close proximity to my sixth form school to having to like go from one part of the city to another to get to lectures. I'm not having that. I really want a campus uni. Yeah, that's sort of the. So yeah, both are campus. Warwick, technically, I'll be doing something called PPL, Philosophy, Politics and Law. It's not a qualifying law degree. If you want me to talk about that, because I think that's still going to be the main plan, let me know. But yeah, so York has professors that genuinely seem very interested in what they teach, which is good. You'd expect them to. I met a couple of students there. A girl called Amelia and a boy called Raj, both year 12, and looking to do various philosophy joint honours things like myself, so that's pretty cool. I sort of was rushed around it because it's very far. Most of you watching this know where I am. If you're someone like 10 years in the future who's going, who on earth is this guy? I live near Reading, in a town called Newbury, that was famous for a Paddington statue vandalism in the news about a couple of months ago. So yeah, there's that. That's what we're known for. Well, no, we're known for more to do with Paddington, and that's why the statue was there in the first place. But and more stuff. That's not all that. I promise you, that's not all Newbury is. But yeah, if you know where that is in relation to York, you'll know that it is roughly a 4-hour drive. Hence, we did not get much time to look around. I sort of just quickly rushed to all of the taster lectures and things that I could. I actually had to skip accommodation to talk to that lecturer about the metaphysics of God and subjective experience and all that. But honestly, yeah, I enjoyed it all. There was another professor who I had a bit of an argument with, but that was fun. it wasn't like an aggressive argument. It was me and actually those two students I was telling you about earlier, who I like swapped numbers with, made friends with. We basically confronted the professor at the end of the taster lecture together and tried to sort of disband his theory. Well, it wasn't his theory, but sort of go against the theory he was advocating for a little bit. It was a philosophy lecture, and yeah, that was fun as well. I think that York, one thing that I quite like about York as well, is that it's got a lot of focus on research. It's got philosophy is, I think, second in the country in terms of its research, and so a lot of the stuff about like God and subjective experience is new stuff that they're cooking up. I mean, there was a paper that the lecturer I was speaking to about it disagrees with, that he's studying currently, that came out in 2022. So, like, this is all really, I think it was 2022. This is all really recent stuff. Apparently, York's done a lot to do with public health policy and philosophy, and the sort of connections there, and also it's like stuff to do with the human experience, stuff to do with grief, that sort of thing. It's actually they're like really on the ball. It seemed, in terms of like somewhat practical philosophy, which means I might get a job out of it somehow, which if you know about philosophy you'll know is very unlikely. Yeah, I'm sort of boned actually in that regard. I could talk about my very limited employment prospects in a future video, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. I like the lecturers there. They seem well informed and happy to discuss their topics. I like the research focus, which I don't think I was as focused on when I went to Warwick last time, so I think I'll have another look at Warwick and see how that goes. The distance is a bit troubling, but nothing that I'm willing to consider too strongly. And yeah, overall it was a good day. Oh, and one thing as well that I've realised that's a bit odd is I don't think I'm as interested in politics as I used to be. I used to be like a bit of an annoying prick, actually. I still am an annoying prick. But I used to be a bit of an annoying prick for political reasons, as opposed to because of philosophy. And so I've changed my style of prickery, which is something I've noticed. I've realised I'm just not... I'm still interested, right? But I feel like philosophy's firmly taken the top spot. Whereas if you asked me, like, when I was 13, I definitely was a politics guy. I think it's to do with when I got into religion, then I got into philosophy as opposed to politics, and sort of that's how that started, which is a journey that I can talk about again in a future video because I want to cut these down. But today's made me realise that, so I think I also probably want to look over that in and contemplate it, and just maybe I'll let you guys know what I think about it in a week from now. Remind me in the comments if you give a shit, otherwise I won't. Like, I'm sorry, but this is an interactive process, even if you want to pretend otherwise. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Tell me, what do you think? Sorry, what am I doing? So I'm a bit hyper, actually, all of a sudden. Don't know why. Anyway, I suppose there's one last thing to say, and that is... So, yeah, if you are watching this as it's coming out, then mocks are tomorrow. So yeah, that's fun. I guess I just want to quickly finish this video off. That's if you go to the same school as me. If you don't, then obviously this might not apply to you. If you've had mocks or you're going to have mocks later, I wish you the best of luck with that. But if you go to the same school as me, which I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I kind of don't want to say the name of the school in case we get doxxed and stalked and murdered. If you go to the same school as me, you have mocks tomorrow up until Friday. I, for one, haven't been doing that much revision. Yikes. But I know some of you have. Regardless, I just wanted to end it off by saying, look, obviously yes, if you put more revision in and you get a better grade, that's pretty cool. At the end of the day, how I'm looking at this right now is it's the first set of mocks. If you're an early entry course, then maybe this means more to you. I for one have sort of shrugged off the idea of Oxbridge, so it's not for me really. Um, Whatever happens, just don't panic too much, chill out. I'm sure you'll be fine. And if not, then panicking doesn't do anything anyway. It's like, I know that this is so much of like, oh well, it's so easy to say now. I'm hoping that maybe looking this over tomorrow evening, because again I'm recording this on Saturday, the day before it's coming out. I hope that maybe looking over this tomorrow evening, I will actually take some of my own advice, or anyone would take my own advice. It's mocks. B, what's done is done. Like, the best you can do is just sort of continue, just try and make positive out of what you've got. So, yeah, I'm sure you do fine, whoever you are. I hope you do well. Well, I just said I'm sure you will, so that's sort of a mute point. But you know what? No, I you terribly. No, I'm joking, obviously. Sorry, I'm getting a ramble, and it's just gone 21 minutes of recording, so I'm going to end this one off here. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I hope that if you've got mock exams, you do well. And as always, let me know if you have any suggestions. Be sure to leave a comment. If you're not already subscribed, then do that. And yeah, good luck, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. Bye.